gathering, for those who biblically, that they say where two are gathered or more are gathered in my name. So we're about to freestyle a little bit. I wish the brother who was speaking on that issue was here so that we could have a friendly discussion on the circumstance. I just want to touch on things that, our brothers and sisters who are interested in pursuing knowledge beyond the books, knowledge beyond the books that are given to us to read, like the Bible. We should always be suspect when the Caucasoid gives us something to read in the first place. Black people who read in the Bible and taking everything literally and per word, what I call the dead letter word. Black people or Negroes who are addicted to the dead letter and indoctrinated by the dead letter have no personal, conscientious, spiritually inspired intelligence. To be suspect anytime the white man has given us anything has been our survival from day one. We have fought him at all fronts, and he goes back and he has an old history of putting out false information, and anyone who would deem that the Bible is the first book. And the Bible always was. I don't remember what you said, Brother Malik, but that the brother was saying that the Bible was the first book ever written, and that it was the oldest book on the planet. And sometimes people interpolate truth with a lot of lies. The Bible is extrapolated, in the words, it's extrapolated from books that were written tens of thousands of years ago. So yeah, it could, I guess, technically be said to be a compilation of the older books, but it is not, as in of itself, the oldest book. To give anybody that impression without letting them know the previous facts is trying to propagate a falsehood. Brother, I don't know what your philosophies are about your religion or your belief structure. I don't understand why you would pick up a book that is so readily sold to the mass population. Most of the ignorant people are the ones that the Bible is sold to. So I'm trying to figure out, a brother who is enlightened, how could you take a book that was given to us so freely, like they give the cheese in our community, like they give out stuff in our community? How could you take something that they've given you and thrown your rightness, your reason, your intellect, your logic into that, and how do you come out of those pages with what you do? And unless you have the key to what it is that was written in those books, they could give you anything and hide it in those words, and then have agents, ministers, interpret it for you. You have no clue as to what the Bible is if you are talking about it as if Imhotep was an Israelite, and you start assigning names from the Bible to your ancient history. The Bible is a book of fiction as applied to history. There was no such people, there was no such events.
That's right.
There was no such anything in the Bible. It's a book, it's Grimm's fairy tales. You'd do better to read Hans Christian Andersen. At least in the stories they have some kind of moral issue that you could identify with. And plus, the kids like it. But the Bible is the book for adult children who have no common sense, who refuse or have given up on the pursuit of true knowledge. It's too difficult to do that kind of work. And again, I would warn you, brother, if you pursue knowledge within the rubric or the construct of a particular philosophy or ideology, then know that anything that they tell you from in there to pursue will support that ideology. So if you're trying to find the truth around what it is that you call your Hebrew, or trying to find the truth around the Israelites and the Jew, you don't look at the information they give you. The last place to look for Christianity's truth is in Christianity. The last place to look for the truth of the Bible is in the Bible. You deal with peripheral investigations. Your investigations 3 and 4 levels deep. Some things that you find may substantiate parts of the Bible. But the substantiation of the Bible just proves that the Bible is nothing more than an interpolation of that which you are searching for. And that is the ultimate reality behind the Bible. Don't look for truth. The lies are all set up as the truth. So instead of looking for truth, look for the reality of a thing. Once you find the reality of a thing, there is no fringes. Then inside of the reality, the seed of truth will be there. I am not here to, I guess, lord over the fact that I may have gathered a few bits of information beyond you. I would tell you that there are ways for you to completely, I guess, discredit a vast inventory of what it is you're pursuing. I could destroy pretty much everything that you would bring to me as history in the Bible, because I could give you the analogous myth that preceded everything in the Bible by hundreds of thousands of years. So if you could read in people's histories before these so-called Jews, Israelites and all that, before they existed by thousands of years, if you could read the same story of Moshe or Mose or Moses, and you could read it in the story of Sargon, if you could read it in the story of Jehudi and Heru, if you could read that from stories 10, 20,000 years before even the word Israelite came up, if you could read that at that point, then everything you are defending will no longer have foundation. So the last thing that you do is defend information. You don't defend information. You don't need to defend. You don't need to defend reality. You don't need to defend truth. So by going along and trying to recruit people into a truth, you will find that the more you hold on to it, the less sure you'll become as you grow older. Because truly, once you hold on to a dogma as truth, everything will resist you. And you will find your life being set up to prove your point. I've long since stopped trying to prove my point. All I do is lay the facts out, and through my ability to let the facts speak for themselves and interpret it without a biased mind and with a metaphysical eye, the first eye, then I don't get caught up in the dogmas or interpretations of other people. And that's what you're doing. You're taking the interpretations of myth and giving it a reality. And since the man who wrote the myth is pretty much the same man that you are, you're going to always feel a synergy to the myth, because the myth is your story. In fact, the myth is the story of the spirit. History is the story of the physical body. So if you want to try and find the truth or the reality behind the quote-unquote history of the Bible, study the myth and know what the myth means. Know where the characters came from. Know what the characters represented. And once you understand that, you'll understand that no character in the Bible existed at all. And when you understand that the characters in the Bible, the places in the Bible, and the names that they may have borrowed from true historical leaders in order to create a specific perception in your mind, then you'll understand how they could interweave the realities of the day into the mythos and then come about with a dogma that is again used to control the people. So if brother would like to speak on any other higher principles of metaphysics, I'd be more than happy to have a discourse with him. But I'm not going to debate, like Dr. John Clark says. Baba John said, I didn't come to debate, I came to teach. Debating is useless, see, because it doesn't change what happened. All we have to do is come to a realization how we should understand what has been left for us. It's to be interpreted. Our ancient masters wrote in such high terms. They're right. We are not the ancestors we were. Not because we are not from their seed, it's because we have degenerated so much that we cannot even understand our foreparents' language anymore. We can't speak as they do. And since we lost our language, we could never even think as they do. We're too busy thinking in English, which becomes a constraint to your rightness and your reasoning. As soon as you start thinking and trying to process your existence and try to see who you are in reference to all that is through the slaver's language, you don't know who you really are, because your mind is interpreting in the slaver's tongue. And once you have to interpret in his tongue, you're lost. Unless now you understand how to take the back roads and understand how he has navigated you to one path and keeps you looking at yourself through one lens. And then he may throw a metaphysics. He got you politically set up. He got you educationally structured. He has you structured in entertainment. And most insidiously, he has you structured in your religion. All of them. Because all three religions, quote unquote, the major religions, are all part of a Masonic initiation. So you have people who are now set up in three Masonic structures, and you know that there are only 3 degrees in Masonry. All the rest of them are superfluous to the 3. So the 3 degrees of Masonry is set up to deal with the 3 major religions that they have now warring with one another. Buddhism is where all of them came from. And they've been trying to murder Buddhism for the longest period of time. That's where the Pope came in, and he tried to do that in the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was for the systematic eradication of Buddhism in that particular area so that they could rape the resources. And so the Pope at that time, Pope John the 23rd, through Cardinal Spellman, created the Vietnam War, because for 300 years the people of that region had not converted from Buddhism. So what they did was they marched over 1 million to 2 million Catholics from North Vietnam down into South Vietnam, which automatically started the tension. And then they began to systematically eradicate the Buddhists, killing them all off. So when you eradicate Buddhism with a great war, murder, genocide, then you can incorporate a Catholic or Christian model, which is what is being adopted at this time. And then through that, you could tell them who your leaders are. From that point, the land belongs to them. The resources now belong to them. So religion has no basis today. And all the books you're given have no basis in freeing you. In fact, all books from religions, from the 3 major religions, are meant to incarcerate your mind. And that goes for Islam as well, as practiced. It goes to Judaism or Israelites as practiced. Any organization, and I say this for any organization, whether it be black, white, or indifferent, any organization at its inception, just like a child, is innocent. It is open. It is beautiful. It has potential. It grows. But by its very existence, by its very seeding from people who are not perfect, its very existence corrodes. When it begins to grow old, it becomes corrupt. And then the organization, which was actually set out to serve the people then end up becoming servants of the organization. So all organizations, by their very forming, are evil. And I say that based on a metaphysical tip. All organizations are evil. If the human entity, as an entity individual in God's eyes, as God, collective and separate, cannot see what is right and what is wrong, then there's no need for us to be even existing. The internal barometer of all people from the time they are grown and they have understood the right and the wrong, they know what right and what wrong is. It's an instinct. There are animals that are born that know exactly what to do as soon as they drop out of the womb. Here we are, the highest creation in the universe, and we have to be taught what is right and wrong. And you know what? It's said that when man loses its instincts for right and wrong, it elects leaders to write laws for it.